Good early evening, everybody. One more video of wide receivers. One more video of day 3 wide receivers, and we're moving on. Going to start this one off with Jason Brownlee, who is a prospect that reminds me a little bit of the last guy we looked at in the last video, Hazelwood. Southern Mississippi receiver, could not find his age. A little bit on the bigger side, 6'2", 198 pounds. Nice long arms, 33 and 3/4 inches. 9 and 3/4 inch hands, so he's generally just a bigger receiver, and with that comes a not great speed. 4.59 40 time, not particularly good. 10-yard split was actually nice though, 1.52, so he accelerates quickly. He almost jumped 40 inches vertically and almost 11 feet broad, so he's a great athlete. And 16 bench press reps, decent enough for a receiver. None of the big boards that I utilize regularly actually have him getting drafted. 3 of them didn't have him listed. 3 of them had him going UDFA. But the smaller big boards actually like him enough to boost him up to the late 7th round. So realistically, I don't really expect this guy to get drafted. And if he does get drafted, you're probably looking at something like late 7th round. Like he might be a Mr. Irrelevant. He had a nice year last year, though. Almost 900 yards in 13 games, 8 touchdowns for Southern Mississippi. There's some production here. So he's pretty good at tracking a vertical routes deep in the air. He's got good ball tracking skills. His jumping skills translate well to a football field. He's got a great catch radius. If you throw the ball in his direction, he's going to make a play on it. He's a pretty good route runner. He knows how to use his size and length well. He's somebody who is going to go up and get balls. He's somebody who is going to box out to make tough catches. So there is some stuff to like here. He's going to struggle to get open, I think, because he's not very fast. Although the acceleration is probably going to help him a little bit. He also just, I think his breaks are a little bit slow, mostly because he's just so big that just kind of can't be helped. He does drop a few too many passes for our liking, I think, even though he has that big catch radius. He's not yet a very good blocker. And that's something he should probably develop if he wants to become a NFL level player, because he's got deficiencies in other areas. You got to offset that with something else. So, I don't know. I like the talent here. There's something interesting here. The fact that he can accelerate so quickly, the fact that he can jump so well, his athleticism. There's something intriguing here, even if it hasn't fully translated. I would take him in the 7th round. I would feel okay about that. I don't have a problem with taking him in the 7th round and trying to see if you can get it out of him. I like him a little bit more than Hazelwood, even though I think both guys are somewhat similar. This guy, I think, has a little more upside. So, yeah, I would be willing to spend a late pick on him. All right, now we have Jalen Cropper. Jalen Cropper Moreno. This is a guy who a lot of Seahawks fans have talked about lately. And I like him a good amount, too, after having a chance to look at him. Fresno State, could not find his age. 5'11", 172 pounds, so he's on the light side. Barely over 30-inch arms, just shy of 9-inch hands. So, generally speaking, a smaller prospect, but he's got good speed, 4.4 40. Acceleration's just okay, though, 1.55, 10-yard split. 10-foot broad is okay, I guess. PFF loves him. They think he'll go in the 4th. Draft Network and CBS is more like the 5th, maybe even the 6th. The mock draft database, however, drags him down significantly all the way down to the late 7th. I think he'll get drafted. I think it'll probably be in the later half of day 3, though. He's been very productive, I'll say that much. Last year he had almost 1,100 yards on 83 catches. Did a little bit of work as like a from the backfield, some jet sweep stuff. Year before that, he gave you 900 yards in 13 games, 11 touchdowns. So he's been very productive throughout his college career, basically. He's a really good route runner. He's really smart against zone defenses. He knows how to find the holes in the zone and sit down in them, wait for the ball. He's good running after the catch. You get the ball in his hands. He's going to make guys miss. He's going to make extra yards. He's got really good hands, too. He doesn't drop very many passes. He's great at the schemed quick catches. You know, the kind of things where you get him the ball in space. The bubble screens, the quick slants, you know, the things where you're just quickly trying to get him the ball and let him make plays. Also, like I said, they used him as a jet sweep option a good amount at Fresno State. That's something he can do. The issues are pretty obvious, though, mostly just stemming from his size. He is small. He's not very strong. If you press him, he's going to have issues, which is why he's probably just going to be a slot receiver in the NFL. And he needs to fight a little bit harder for the football at the point of catch. He does a lot of things really well up to the point of catch. He needs to learn how to fight a little bit harder when the ball actually gets there. So the production is off the charts. The speed is very notable. So honestly, I would be willing to take him in the 5th round if I needed to. I don't think you're going to need to. I think that you're probably going to be able to get him in the 6th, but I would say watch out for him in the 5th round. Maybe there's going to be a last-second boost up to that area of the draft, and I would be okay with it. I like this guy a lot. This guy really grew on me the more I looked at him. The production cannot be denied, and normally you'd be able to say, well, what does that mean? The 40 time tells me it means something on an NFL level. Obviously, he's not going to be this good when he gets to the pros, but I feel like this guy has enough positive attributes to become a good NFL receiver. Elijah Higgins, next up, Stanford receiver, another Stanford guy, 22 years old, 6'3", 235 pounds, so big, definitely on the bigger side here. 31 3/4 inch arms, 10.5 inch hands, big hands, real big hands. 4.54 40 is okay for a player of his size. 156 10-yard split. 35-inch vert, decent. 10 foot 6 inch broad is okay. 7-second 3-cone, essentially. Wide variety of takes on the big boards right now. You've got PFF having him in the early 7th. You've got Sports Illustrated saying undrafted. The Draft Network actually says early 5th or mid 5th. The aggregate says late 7th. That's probably going to be the outcome here. Wouldn't surprise me if he boosted up a little bit just because of the really intriguing size. Had pretty good production at Stanford, but nothing over the top. Some of that has to do with the fact that Stanford's just going to be kind of limiting in the production they're going to allow you to have with their offense right now. Had over 700 yards last year. He's pretty good athletic in terms of athleticism for a guy who's 6'3", I will say that. That's definitely going to turn some heads. I do think he's a pretty good route runner for a player his size as well. I think that there is some real potential here for him to be a good possession receiver. He's got good hands and ball skills. He's going to make a play on a lot of balls, and he's going to bring in a lot of the balls that get thrown his way. He's also a really good blocker. And I think that alone, all those traits I just listed, is sufficient to make him a really intriguing player in the late day 3 area. Now, not a vertical threat. I think that much is fairly obvious here. You wouldn't necessarily expect that from a guy of this size. He's not going to make a lot of players miss in the open field. He's not a joystick out there. Even though he's a bigger guy, he does struggle with his release against the press, which is troubling because that's kind of going to limit you as an outside receiver. He's not got a great route tree. I think he's a pretty good route runner, but he doesn't run a ton of different routes. He's probably going to be best in the slot despite his size. Like, he's probably going to be one of those big slot receivers. So, I think he's interesting. I think that he's got a bit of a low ceiling because he doesn't have great speed. I think that he's not going to make a lot of things happen with the ball in his hands. So, I don't think he'll ever be anything special, but he can be an all-right NFL player. I would take a shot with him in the middle of day 3, honestly. He'll probably go like late day 3, but I would not be against taking him in the middle of day 3 if necessary. I don't think it will be, of course. That would be a pretty reasonable shot opportunity to take a shot with him at the very minimum. I think you're getting a really good blocking receiver, and skills like that can be crucial. So yeah, I would say you get him in the 6th round. You're doing good. 7th round would be beautiful. Okay, one more receiver. Last receiver we're going to look at here is Jacob Copeland of the Maryland Terrapins, another Maryland receiver. 24 years old, 5'11", 201 pounds, 31 5/8 inch arms, 8 5/8 inch hands. Ran a nice little 40, good acceleration with his 10-yard split. Jumps, 33-inch vert is kind of meh. 10 foot 7 inch broad though, all right. 7-second 3-cone, 4.47 20-yard shuttle, 20 bench press reps is kind of good though for a guy of his size. So, little all over the place with his combine, but overall I'd say it was a positive combine. ESPN really likes him. They think he'll be a 5th round pick. Pretty much everywhere else has him either as a 7th round pick or a UDFA. The aggregate has him as a 7th round pick or UDFA. Probably the outcome here. Didn't produce a lot in college, had barely over 1,000 yards combined the last 25 games he's played. Um, not really anything on a football field that turned a lot of heads, even though I think there is some nice talent here. He's got good speed and acceleration for somebody you could get really late in day 3. 4.42 240 for a 5'11 guy is rock solid, and he accelerates to top speed very fast. Even though he's not a huge guy, he does break tackles with his lower body strength, and he has nice ball skills. So there are some plus traits in areas you wouldn't necessarily expect from a late round pick. He's got good break on his routes. He's somebody who can just plant his foot and break on his routes, which is crucial and key to getting open in the NFL. He can play with some physicality. He's somebody who's going to fight at the point of catch. He's somebody who's going to fight for tough catches. He's going to present a little bit more of a physical challenge than you might expect. And he offered a little bit as a vertical threat for the Terrapins. Now, in order to really unlock his full potential in the NFL, he's going to have to improve his deep ball tracking. Even though I do think he was a pretty good vertical threat, he needs to improve his ability to track the ball in the air. His overall route running, even though I like his breaks, I think are a little lazy. He can kind of wander into the coverage. He can kind of struggle to really snap off the routes the way you want them to. The route running in general is not great. He can be a bit of a body catcher, even though he has good ball skills. Sometimes when the deep shots go his way, he doesn't bring it in the way he should. And overall, I think he'll struggle to get open consistently in the NFL, even though there are some plus traits with his ability to get open here. So I think he's a credible selection once the 6th round starts because of his speed. Just because of his speed. I do think that he'll struggle to contribute early on because he's got a real lack of refinement to his game. But I would take him in the 6th round, and I would feel pretty good about it. The speed alone is appealing to me. All right, that's it for these receivers. See you guys later. Go Hawks.